I'm sure you're going to enjoy the talk this evening. It's the Sunderland 7 Railways. Derek.
Okay, hey, thanks, Phil. Well, I hope you all like railways, because that's what I'm going to talk about throughout this presentation. Now, Sunderland 7 Railways, people have come up to me and said, well, hold on a minute, Sunderland's a fairly small town. It couldn't have possibly had 7 railways. You know, maybe London, yeah, or Birmingham, but not Sunderland. But in actual fact, it did have 7 railways, and I'm going to show you that tonight. That's a shot you're seeing on the screen there of the south end of Sunderland Station, with an A4 Pacific coming out of it. Shot probably in the 1950s, I think. Here's another shot showing the old north end of the station, that spire on the left there, and the Old Town Hall as well, with it looks like a V2 locomotive pulling an express train out of it. Right, I have to pay homage to Ian Carr and Neil Sinclair. I'm sure most of you will have read Neil's books and Ian's photographs of Sunderland Railways, and they are the guys that really have spent their lives studying it. Right, I've got to show you quite a few maps during the presentation. I hope you don't mind. That is quite an old map, actually, of the Sunderland area, Sunderland hinterland. So the first railway I'm going to talk about is the oldest one, the Lambton, dating from 1812. The next one will be the Hetton Railway. It's quite famous, the Hetton Railway. George Stephenson designed and built it, 1822. The Durham-Sunderland line, 1836. That's not going in the direction you'd expect the Durham-Sunderland line to go, but the original Durham-Sunderland line did, in fact, go through Merton. Right, north of the river, we have the Brundling Junction line, 1839, coming from Newcastle and South Shields. Coming from Durham, we have the Newcastle and Darlington Junction line, 1854. Also in 1854, the Londonderry, mainly a coal mining line to begin with, but then passenger later on, coming from Seaham. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is going to be and possibly the most interesting one, is the Hilton Southwick Weymouth line of 1871. Now, these are the original names of these lines. Obviously, you've probably never heard of Branding Junction and Newcastle and Darlington, which is not surprising, because basically other railway companies amalgamated and took over these lines. One was the North Eastern Railway in 1854. Then we had the London and North Eastern Railway, the LNER, 1923, and latterly, of course, British Rail in 1948. Now, since 1948, of course, in recent years, ownership of track and running stock has changed hands, and I don't attempt to keep you up to speed with what happened there. So let's just leave it at British Rail 1948. Right, starting very early wagon ways, 17th century onwards. Well, these weren't coal. These, in fact, were limestone coming from the Carley Hill Fulville quarries. The lines, there were more lines than this, but the two main lines that I'm going to highlight are the ones that ran through Southwick. Now, one of them ran right out the back of my grandmother's house. And in fact, in the early 1950s, there were still remains of that line there. So they ran from the quarries down to the river, basically to export the limestone and the slaked lime or quicklime that they made from it. And these, of course, were wagonways, basically horse-drawn affairs. They weren't using locomotives, too early for that. Now, this is a scene of the river and the lime kilns. It looks like something out of Dante's Inferno. Now, you might say, well, hold on a minute, there's a bit of artistic license there. It never really looked like that. But in fact, it did. This is a photograph taken in the other direction. This is looking from west to east along the riverbank. And in fact, nowadays, it's still there. And you can see the famous Sunderland football ground behind there, where the famous Sunderland football team plays. Now, I want to mention that there are other lines in the area which I'm really not going to talk about an awful lot. But these are quite well known, and you've probably heard of the Bowes line, which is still in operation to a degree. The Bowes incline, that's the Bowes incline right there. There's the Rainton Seam line, 1831 to 1896, and that went down to the Seam Harbour. There's the Pontock and South Shields line, 1834 to 1980s. Now this became well known to people because of the minerals traffic that was going along there. Basically the iron ore that was being taken up to the Consett Ironworks by these locomotives. And the Whitburn line. There was a line in Whitburn from Whitburn Colliery into South Shields. And there it is there. That was actually had a passenger train which ran a couple of times a day, mainly bringing workers from South Shields to the coal mine. And then there's this one, the Limeside. Now the Limeside's quite well known. It runs basically over this Victoria Viaduct, which is up the River Wear. A lot of people haven't seen this because it's quite well hidden, as a matter of fact. In fact, I've shown people this picture before, and they've claimed it's not a bridge over the River Wear, but it is. Now, talking about the Limeside may well come back to life. There's a scheme to resuscitate it. In fact, there's been, for many years, there's been a group of people trying to get the thing reopened, and it might well happen fairly soon. Well, within a few years. Now, in the 18th century, we get onto railways, coal wagonways to start with. They were all over the place. I mean, this is a map of the Tyne and the Weir. I'm only going to focus on the Weir. And you might say, well, all right, there's a lot of them there, but why are they so far up the river? Well, there's a reason for that. If you draw a vertical line down there, at the stage of history that they were opened, they didn't have the technology to actually place them any further east of the line than that because of this. It's due to the structure of the underlying land. Basically, that's equivalent to the line I've just shown you. And you have this Permo-Triassic layer, which in days gone by, well, certainly in the 1700s, couldn't be penetrated. It was very difficult to dig through that. So they went for the easy stuff. They went for the stuff inland. So that's why you're seeing coal mines inland. Generally speaking, the coal mines had to be close to a river in order to transport the coal out of there. And typically, you'd have a mine, a shallow mine, quite a primitive mine, in fact, using techniques like that. Very dangerous as well. Cave-ins were very common. People were getting killed. And of course, they were using child labor and women down there as well. Terrible conditions, really, to work in. To get the coal down to the river, it was usually horse-drawn carts on rails, these very early railways, something like that. That's a typical type of wagon that would have been used. And down to to like a loading bay on the river, where boats like this, these keelmen would be taking coal from the coal mine down the river to boats like that. These are sailing vessel collieries, obviously in those days there weren't any steamships, just before the days of steamships. Now, the first railway I'm going to talk about is Lambton Railway in 1812. It wasn't the first railway, obviously, but it's probably the first proper railway, you could say. And originally it ran along this course, basically from New Bottle through to the River Wear. And it looked like that. That's an early sketch of it with some coal wagons there circled. If you go to Harrington Park, you might find this, Dorothea Pit. It was originally called Dorothea. Originally called New Bottle Colliery, and then it became Dorothea, closed in 1956. I don't know if any of you have ever seen that before, but that's on the site of where the original coal mine was.
Subscribe to our channel and we'll let you know when there's a new video to watch. The subscribe button is below the video next to the like, share and comment icons. To watch another video, just click on one of the pictures above the arrows now.